Okay, so this time we're going to be talking about policing methods and challenges and some of the issues that we face in policing. Particularly, you need to be able to ask and answer the questions: how much force can the police use in performing their duties? What can local police do to prepare for and cope with a terrorist attack in their community? What constitutes police liability? And how has technology affected policing? So by the end of all this, you should be able to answer those. So use of force is a sacred trust. And you see here several instances where that sacred trust is seemingly violated. In the next video, I'll have these two videos here from Michael Brown and the Edmund Pettus Bridge for you. But we'll go ahead and skip those for the moment. But you can see quite a bit here. So how do we repair the relationship between the police and the community in places like Ferguson, Missouri? That's a big question to ask, and it's a hard one to answer. It's kind of like, how do you repair a relationship between a couple that's planning a divorce? I mean, it just takes a lot of effort, time, and trying. And unfortunately, in the role of the relationship between the police and the community in places like Ferguson, Missouri, you don't have the option of just getting a court order and calling it quits. It has to continue. So one of the things is we should look at this difference between policing within and policing without. By policing within, we're looking at policing within our own communities rather than policing from outside of our communities. And then we have the soldier versus the guardian role here, which a lot of times is called the warrior versus guardian role, and it actually demonstrates this concept of policing within versus policing without, where guardians are associated with policing from within because they're seen as guards of their communities, whereas soldiers or warriors are seen more as like an occupying force. And as an occupying force, they're seen as policing from outside the community. So there were lots of recommendations made from these incidents in Ferguson, Missouri, and in Baltimore, Maryland. Particularly from Ferguson, Missouri, they talked about demilitarizing the police, which I don't think is necessarily an apt name for the particular phenomenon. In the other class, I was talking to them about this demilitarization concept, and there is a lot of equipment coming back from war that is being provided to local police agencies, and those provisions are coming as surplus equipment that's no longer needed because we're not fighting war, which is fine if it is being adapted to civilian police use. But the problem with a lot of this military equipment is that police agencies are not making it abundantly clear that it is a police tool. In one particular photo that I showed the other class, there was an MRAP, which is a mine-resistant. It's a mine-resistant vehicle. Mine-resistant armor-plated. There we go. That's the MRAP. Mine-resistant armor-plated vehicle. And that vehicle didn't really have any police lights on it. I mean, it had some, but they were really small. Didn't really stand out on it. It was still Desert Combat tan painted rather than being painted black or some other color that readily identifies it as not a military vehicle. It is a police vehicle. So I kind of take issue with agencies doing that, because that does look militarized. We need to take these surplus donations from the government from war and convert them to civilian police use. Additionally, in that same photo with that MRAP, there was a SWAT team there wearing green. And I do take issue with SWAT teams that wear camouflage or that wear green. Just like you learned in the chapter 5, where we were talking about Sir Robert Peel and his reforms and innovations in policing in London. The first thing he did was he put his officers in blue uniforms to readily distinguish them from the British Army, which wears the red uniforms. There is, at least in my opinion, there is no reason for a SWAT team, hostage rescue team, special reaction team, whatever you want to call it, the tactical guys. There is no reason why those guys should ever wear some kind of military colors, because the OD green, the olive drab green uniforms that they like to wear are very reminiscent of military Nomex flight suits. And camouflage makes them look like soldiers. They don't need to look like soldiers. They need to look like police officers. Now, I understand it's a tactical situation and they need to, have their armor and whatever. That's fine. But they need to be wearing some manner of a color that is similar to what they're wearing at work. Here in Liberal, we wear tan pants and black shirts. That's our everyday work uniform. Our other uniforms are the midnight navy blue. So if our SWAT team wants to wear the tan, solid tan, or solid black, or tan and black, or midnight blue, something like that, I have no problem with that, because it makes them look like the police. But whenever they look like the military, as in, wearing the same colors and not making it clear that they're civilian law enforcement, that becomes a problem for me. So that's just kind of me. Additionally, there was a big call for body cameras and additional training on racial profiling. And Liberal PD kind of led the way on both of those. But those are both important updates and recommendations following the incident in Ferguson, Missouri. And you see other things here for the other two, and we'll go with that. And I'll see you in the next video.